Hello, you lovelies. It has been quite some time. Hope you're doing exceptionally well. We are back from the longest hiatus in the history of Coycast. Ironically, we just did a 5-year celebration where we tooted our own horns going, yeah, in 5 years we've rarely taken breaks. Every so often a planned break, but never have we missed time. Well then, we missed some time. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing great. Fantastic to see you, my friend. It's been very long.
I think is it 6 weeks? It was planned
March 3rd.
3. March 3rd.
Was when we recorded our 5-year. So that's over
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
It's been 7 weeks. Because we planned for 4.
Oh, sure. But then...
And then which came first, the sick or the scheduling?
Scheduling came first.
Scheduling snafu.
And then
a sickness.
And then I got a mysterious Cronenberg.
Are you better?
Grew in my throat. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know what it was. Didn't go to a doctor because I live in America.
You came, it passed, you're alive.
And I survived, and so I'm just assuming we're in the clear.
I feel safe here a few feet away.
It's been
long enough.
I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. But in any case, it's just been a hellacious time. We have like way too much to catch up on.
Yeah, to do like an actual
that
realistic.
I feel like we need to for the first time ever, I'm going to say we need to actually curb how much we talk. Just because we will just sit here for 4 hours and just catch up. So we might have to do some of the greatest hits over the past month, just for you and I personal catch up.
Because it's almost 2 months.
Yes, it's almost too much. 2 months. It's almost too much as well. You, since we last spoke, you had a very big giant trip.
Yes.
A multi-tiered trip with surprises. I had a birthday.
Yeah.
With last minute change of plans. We have had a hellacious month of work and exhaustion as well. Let's start with your trip. How was your trip?
I have never felt more American than realizing my volume on podcast is even louder in person when in Europe.
I could have told you that.
My poor fiance just had to like navigate me being the person she was with for the first time in other countries.
Yeah.
There was a moment in Copenhagen where we were getting coffee and it was like a reasonable 8 a.m. But I walked into the coffee shop and the guy behind the counter like made eye contact. So I was like, hey man, and like walked up to order and I kid you not, the 13 people that were in the coffee shop all stopped like a needle drop and stared at me as I approached the bench. And I realized like, I'm not made for some places.
Yeah. They were like, could you just bring it down a notch? Could you just
not? It wasn't like dawn. It wasn't like 5 a.m. It was a reasonable 8 a.m. But I'm so American there.
Right.
Lovely people. I did a politically incorrect tour of Copenhagen.
Okay, great.
So basically this awesome, like clearly theater guy that like did theater, wanted to use those skills, learned all about Copenhagen. And then we got craft beer and wandered Copenhagen.
That's fun.
Drinking and learning the real stuff. So like how syphilis influenced architecture and like where the red light district was. And
That's
like all, it was
amazing.
so
Fucking
cool,
amazing.
dude. It was like the best way I've ever learned about a city that I didn't know a thing about.
Right.
All I know about Copenhagen is those buildings of vibrant colors. Like,
I feel like Copenhagen is one of those places that anytime there is like a travel show, that's the episode that I'm always looking most forward to. Like Alexander and I are desperate to go to Copenhagen.
Dude, it's
like,
so cool.
We were desperate for Travel Man, the Richard Ayoade, now Joe Lycett show to go to Copenhagen. Like anytime there's like a any show where it's like, oh, here's a bunch of people who are entertaining. Yeah. Not just
go
the
somewhere.
like, yeah. Oh God, they're always the best. And Copenhagen just seems so cool.
The food's better
It seems
than
like
I
such
thought.
a unique place.
Yeah.
Like it has a very distinctive identity.
Waking up there was always like, oh,
right.
I am in Copenhagen. It's not like when you wake up places, you're like, oh, it's like I've been to this city. It's brand new.
Because I feel like even England, London,
familiar.
You like it's like this is like the British version of America,
right?
And
I've
we're the
seen
American
this
version of Britain.
100%.
Right.
Copenhagen is like everyone's kind, but they're Zen, so they don't have that forward kindness.
Right.
Like a lot of Europe, when you hear like, oh, they're wicked nice, you like experience it.
Right.
Copenhagen is a niceness in that they're just like, we have healthcare and we're good.
Right.
So there's a zen that I've not experienced in quite some time. That was lovely.
That is really nice.
They had amazing barbecue. There's like a whole meat packing district, and I like feasted on like the flesh of many animals. There was like 2 days where I just
don't love the phrasing.
But I realized I'd had meat for all 3 meals for 2 days. Like I was just eating, and like I was so happy because it was so well like made, and the quality of it was so high that I was like, I'm getting sustained, but I want more. But it's not like candy. It was like I was eating candy, but it was like plates of food.
Right.
So it was so good. And then I went to Paris And my Americanness was met with more aggression than in Copenhagen, which was a neutral fear. I caused alarm in Copenhagen. In Paris, I think I caused disdain. And it was really interesting because if you guys don't know, audio listeners and video viewers alike, I often speak faster than my brain keeps up. And I would find myself knowing enough French to translate, but I'd already have the English sentence out first, that I just repeat it in French. So like I would have a sentence in mind, like, oh, I'm going to say a thing and I'm going to be really proud. And then the English come out and then the French.
But yeah, you're literally your own
Rosetta Stone.
interpreter.
Yeah. In one moment.
It's always, yeah.
And I'm always a little late.
You didn't need, but you also didn't need the first part.
Nope, not at all. And then they'd be like very upset that
really
this
funny.
guy's just trying to speak English and like disrespect them. And then I'd get that like, okay, we'll tolerate you. You tried. I got a lot of those.
Okay.
But everyone, like no one was unkind. I could just tell they were like,
yeah.
Just
tired.
The food there was amazing. It was so good as well.
Yeah.
And seeing the Louvre was revelatory, dude.
That's fun.
Like, and we went to Marie Antoinette's estate.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Like, I've never seen pink marble to that abundance. Like, it was an
I
entire.
don't think I've ever seen it, period.
It's pink marble.
It's no abundance.
It's the whole estate.
Right.
Like, it's hundreds of feet of just everywhere. And like, I got to see the Mona Lisa. I got to see like all this art, but then I didn't realize that Marie Antoinette's estate is the size of the Central Park, and it's just someone's land.
Right.
So you just walk it for a day, and it's still someone's.
It's a theme park.
Yeah. And like the movie where it's like she goes off and lives in her little cottage. It's like I didn't realize that was on the same property.
Right.
So we like walked from to the other.
We thought that was the countryside.
Yeah, they took horses, but it's like no, it's your land. So that was very like weird for my brain to go like, oh, Kirsten Dunst just walked.
By the way, we forgot to welcome in the live chat. Thanks to those joining us live. If you want to watch these, you got to head on over to patreon.com/KoyCast. It's not behind a paywall. You just have to become a member there, and it's free, and you can get to things. But I bring that up because ATL Designs in the chat says sometimes I think my podcast is at a higher speed when Coy talks.
I am a 1.5 human, as these countries learn. But those are some of the briefs. I had a really good time. It was really cool to like spend time with my fiance in another environment right before like
it's fun.
We're gonna get married hopefully in the next year. We're trying to figure it out. But it was nice to take like
both, brother. I've been engaged for 2 years.
Yeah,
and we're staying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean we're hitting like the expenses are so insane. It's only gonna get worse.
It's starting to like we are. I don't know. This is a whole other conversation. I'm gonna get very depressed. But like it's becoming clearer and clearer that like I don't think we're gonna be able to do it the way that we want to do it.
Right.
Like it's just not gonna be realistic. So I have a feeling that like we're gonna have to make. When I say some sacrifices, I mean almost entirely sacrifice everything. Like,
I'm trying to do that
just
in pre-production.
So unridiculous. Yeah, right. Of course.
That way I don't get my hopes too up. I have my dreams and my goals, but before I put them to paper, I'm trying to go like, what can I cut in prep?
Right. Yeah.
Because it is like the world's about to be crazy.
But
yes, I was looking at couches yesterday, and they were like, "Good thing you came before Friday. Everything's going to be 60% higher on Friday."
Also, yeah, that's the other thing that you moved since the last time that we spoke. You're closer now, which is nice, much closer.
So everything has changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing about when I saw you in March is my life now.
Yeah. Kind of same.
And we, as of this airing live, it hasn't been announced, but the day after this goes out to everyone, we're announcing a new show that I'm doing at DC. So I've got another show at DC as well as my
fun.
DC studio show, as well as all the other stuff. So
is that show for
it's
Mac
comic
as well?
based? Yeah. And it's comic centric and
Nice.
it's awesome. But what's crazy is I filmed all my prep leading up to the trip that I could for about a week of it. And then I was gone for 2 weeks. So I knew when I got back, I'd be making up 1 week, not two.
Right.
But then I booked this show while I was gone. So everything that I prepped was just like, we have to catch up on everything.
Right.
So I got back at 2 a.m. and I was on set by 10 a.m. And that was an international trip. So I worked,
lag.
dude, I worked up until the hour I flew because I was editing at the airport. And then I flew, and then I worked in 1 day at Copenhagen and Paris, and then I went from Paris to my manager's wedding in Florida. So I flew to Florida, and I was in Orlando for a wedding, and it's in front of the castle. So we had to get married. They had to get married at 6 a.m., 5:45 before they opened. So I got up at 4 a.m. The bride and the bridal party got up at 1 a.m., which means they got up at 10 p.m. LA time. And dude, it was, and
my
we
brain
like
just broke. But yes.
So all my travel was like, I didn't
it.
have a time zone forever. And then I got back at 2 a.m., had to be on set for a bunch of big interviews at 10 a.m. those interviews or 16 interviews prepping for the next 2 months of a
Right.
show. That wasn't done until Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I worked. And then on Monday, I had to get back to
And
rejects.
your eyes were just purple, I'm sure. By the
And
end
like,
of it.
I was somehow still coherent. Like when I watched the tape back, I was so afraid to be like, blah, blah,
Right,
blah.
sure.
But you can see
like what good is booking this?
Yeah, like, why am I even on
I'm gonna
camera?
look like an asshole.
But when I watched the tape back, I was so proud of my articulation, but my eyes got
Nice.
progressively darker like a dead body in a CSI episode.
Right.
Like I saw
the
my
color,
soul fading. So like right now I've taken off
just
one
all
day.
pupil.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
so,
like Mr.
the
Burns when he's
smoke
high.
is taking over. So I took off one day this weekend, and it was that thing where like you slow down enough that your body's like, is this it? Is this now? And I woke up with the sniffles and all the stuff of like, is it gonna happen? I was like, I don't have time to get sick because it's just fatigue.
No, I
and
know, yeah.
now, we're catching up, and then I had 3 things move this week, so the rest of my weekend is already full. And I started booking out 2026, and I hit full like, can I? Like,
Right.
is this actually possible?
Yeah.
Like, can it?
You
happen?
can say no to a couple things.
It's just they're all paid finally for the first
Yeah.
time in my career.
right, of course.
Like
yeah.
I've never had this where I'm
Right.
like, oh, what do I say
But
no
yeah, but you also don't want to burn bridges
by doing
by
shit?
over promising,
Right.
Because then they'll stop being paid.
Then they'll stop being paid. Yeah. And that's the line I'm looking at now of
Right,
like,
right.
what's the cheapest thing
Right.
I cannot afford to bail on?
Right.
So yeah, that's been my last couple. I want to hear about your
Yeah.
birthday.
You've been all over.
Dude, chaotically.
Birthday was fun. It was there was audible after audible. So the plan was to go camping. It's been a few years, and we used to go camping around my birthday. And all of our usual haunts started. They were supposed to snow, and that was the point. I wanted to go cold winter camp, or winter camping, cold weather camping, and all of a sudden, or like the beginning of the week, all these reports started coming in about like this massive storm that was going to be hitting parts of Southern California, and it was going to be like feet, not
Damn.
inches, right? And so we were like, well, fuck, let's just like I guess play it by ear, but we'll probably it's probably not going to work. And then like we were supposed to leave like I think that Thursday to go camp Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and like by like Wednesday morning. We were like, fuck it, let's just call an audible. We're not going to go. We'll stay in town. And I was super bummed. But Alexandra tried to make such a big deal. Like, all right, well, here's the thing is that we've been together for 8 years now. We've never been to a theme park together.
Oh, I love this pivot.
So she got us annual pass holder passes for a Universal thing. And great. It's easy. It's right here. We'll just go to Universal. And that was exciting. But throughout the course of Wednesday and early into the morning of Thursday, the storm never came. But now we couldn't reserve the spots. Like, the audibles were met. And so it was one of those things where we were like, okay, well, maybe like we have the passes. They're not going bad. Maybe we just like see if we can get like an Airbnb up in Pine Mountain where we used to go, where we got engaged. And so we're like, well, let's just try it because it's still like a little snowy, but it's like nice snowy. And I think we were both at that point in time, like we were both so desperate for like some winter weather and for just like, I don't know. I think because we know it's getting warmer here in LA by the day. And it's like, once it gets warm here, it feels like it's warm forever. And so on the day that we were supposed to go to Universal, we booked a little a crappy Airbnb up in Pine Mountain. We drove up that night and then spent 2 days there. And when I tell you, it was the best pivot.
Oh,
it was so fucking nice. The weather was perfect. It was like that perfect snow that night we got there, but then the next day the sun was out. And so it was that like warm weather with like a fresh, 2 or 3 inches of snow on the ground. We went and took this insane hike that when I tell you, I think I posted a video of it. I never post anything on social media. So that's how you know I enjoyed it. I found like literally the most insane place. We went on a hike and it's just this typical, like, Southern California mountainous walk through the wilderness in the snow, which is nice. But then like it opened up into this giant clearing and it was like something out of a fantasy novel. Like I can't even explain it the way that it just went on forever. And it was just this giant valley.
Oh, wow.
That just goes on like I felt like Alexandra and I were both big gamers and nerds, and we were both like, it's like Skyrim. It feels like we're in Skyrim. We kept talking about how it felt like Skyrim. Yeah. Photos aren't gonna do it justice.
I mean, no, you gotta live it.
But yeah, that was a lovely weekend, and then back to I don't need to get into it, but I had absolute work nightmare with this production that I'm working on with this production company. And so I'm, needless to say, just fucking pleased to try to find some semblance of normalcy again after the month. But yeah, also since we've last spoke, I had the table read of the next feature, which is really nice. And hopefully we'll be getting that going soon. I might be doing a little bit of a very minor fundraising for that project, which I might talk about here on the pod in the coming months. But yeah, I mean, it's just been kind of chaotic. It feels like it was only like a week ago that we did that.
I've never been this busy, so it feels like about a week and a half.
Right.
Like, because I've never let my foot off the gas for this long.
Right.
And the one day I like shifted gears, my body was like, we're going to stop. And I was like,
Right.
Okay, we're back.
Right.
So yeah, it's feeling like a blur. I have no sense of when we are. I hear it's late April.
One thing I did do on March 18th, because everybody reminded me as I asked in the pod last time, Ultimate Volume 2 came out, and I went and picked that up.
Love to hear it. Have you read it?
I picked up. No, I haven't read it. Actually, that's not true. I started reading it.
It's a good start.
But then this chaos with work that happened this month. But
yeah, I see it. It makes me happy to see.
I went on the day, got it, and people were like, "Don't forget!" And I was like, I literally am at the place right now. I went to. I checked out a new shop, new to me. Revenge of the place that they had.
They're fantastic. The pinball and stuff.
And well, they also had that event.
That event,
there.
I love that event. Yeah, they're
fun
great
little,
people.
Fun little shop.
It's different.
But yeah, that's kind of it. Is there any Marvel DC movie action that you've been getting into before we move on?
Thunderbolts is next week,
right?
Which snuck up on me. May 2nd is Thunderbolts.
Can't believe that Captain America is on. I thought it still had just come out like last week.
I mean,
and it's on Disney Plus.
I think both things are true.
Okay, got it.
It did so badly, it was less than 30 days until VOD.
Gotcha.
So both things are true, and that's unfortunate.
Move your chair a little bit. I'm just realizing that you're so far to the right of camera there. There you go. Now look at me from there. That's much nicer. This is also a visual medium now.
Newly visual, so I got to adjust. But Thunderbolts is out on the 2nd.
Okay. I hear good things from some people I know that work at Marvel who are honest about things that are bad at Marvel.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. I like that. It looks great. I'm doing the red carpet for the Hollywood Reporter, so I'll be there. But Disney is not. You don't always go to the movie if you do the carpet.
Right.
So I'm going to see if I actually get to see it, which would be...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, especially with my history with Marvel.
Anything you need to know about how much bullshit this industry is.
Yeah, I get to go.
Where'd you go? I went to the premiere. Oh, how was it? Oh, I didn't see it.
I didn't see the movie. I just spent hours prepping, hours there waiting for a 30-second soundbite.
I went to the premiere.
I sure was physically there.
I went to the area the premiere took place.
I saw the doors that led to the movie. So we'll see. I hope to see it. But if not, then I'll be seeing it ASAP. And that'll be some coverage after. And then
I went at the premiere.
Yeah. I went at the premiere.
I went at the premiere. It's sort of like, we went to the Tower of London. Oh, did you go inside? No, we just went to. I was at the Tower of London.
I witnessed it.
Yeah.
But not saw it. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be next week, and then everything's really ramping up for this. Superman Day was last week.
Man,
we saw that 5 minutes behind the scenes footage.
So I ignored all of it.
Yeah.
Listen, baby.
Yeah, he's living the shirt.
I'm so excited for this movie.
Yeah.
God, everything they're just handling it so well.
Yeah, man.
And all of the little morsels that I have allowed myself to digest have been very, very satisfying. If this sucks, we're gonna. It's gonna
be devastating.
It's gonna be
devastating.
It's
not gonna be like, oh no, a movie came out and it wasn't great.
Right.
It's gonna be devastating.
Yes, absolutely.
We've talked about the weight and importance of it, but I do love their marketing not giving away the movie.
Right. Yeah. No. It's the marketing just feels like
classic marketing.
It feels like an old school showcase trailer where it's
90s campaign.
Where it's like, here's a fun moment, here's a fun moment, here's a fun moment. You don't really there's not a lot of dialogue in it.
And the behind the scenes is 5 minutes, which is the longest we've gotten, but it's 80% behind the scenes.
Coy, we haven't talked about it.
What?
We haven't talked about the chairs. The chairs have happened since the last time we've been on the pod.
A pop culture moment brought to you by director's chairs.
I have.
That's the biggest Marvel thing.
I have multiple people who worked on the chairs.
Oh, I did not know this.
Who are all the behind the scenes.
Oh, this is amazing. How big is that soundstage?
It's as big as any.
Just a standard soundstage.
Yeah, it's at the Disney lot, typical. But that was, in my opinion, and it's an opinion that I understand comes from a place of bitterness, I suppose, or just like a burnt outness. Not bitterness. That's the wrong word. It was the biggest insult to all of your fans to spend how long is it? 6 hours?
Yeah.
6 hours pretty much doing nothing.
Chairs. The
chairs
backs of
with-
chairs.
and
With one joke in the middle.
and with one little joke in the middle, and not for nothing, the order of the chairs undermines, and it's one of those things where it's like it's not. It sounds mean to some actors or some performers, but like, you know, there's a reason, you know, your feature doesn't go on after your headliner at a comedy club, right? And there are some names that pop up that people get excited about, and then the one afterward, it's like, oh, now we have to wait an hour for whatever however long it was.
Minutes.
Yeah, 14 minutes in between. Just honestly, this
It's
was
almost an episode of TV.
It was the dumbest thing. It was the dumbest thing. I get why they did it. They got people talking. I get it. It worked.
They owned the news cycle for a day. I'll give them
right,
that.
sure.
But does trolling count?
Silly. And when it came out, this is the thing that we didn't talk about. Because again, it's been so long, I forget. I had no idea that it had happened or was happening. I saw what I thought was the announcement for Secret War? I forget what movie it is.
Doomsday.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Yeah, Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, because that's the first one.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. I completely forgot what the movie was. That shows you the problem.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
they could have that logo at the bottom of the
I saw the 2-minute, which is how long it actually is, like the actual.
Yeah,
right?
but it actually slides normal, which
It
they put
slides
out
normal.
themselves.
Yes.
An hour later.
And then it ends with him, and I watched that, and I went, oh, okay, this is kind of a dumb way to do this, but whatever. At least it moved quick, and the music was really nice for that,
At
right?
least it moved quickly.
At least it moved quickly. And then I saw something that you posted about, like, I can't believe 6 hours. I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, they must have done something that accompanies this. And I looked and I searched and I realized, wait, they did this for 6 hours, and that was when I realized what it was.
And I had a really interesting experience with that, whereas I was on the other side of the cult for the first time. Not the first time, but like for the first time in marketing, not in movie. Me liking Eternals got me on the other side of them, and me not liking the Marvels
right
got me in the point of like Marvel's crosshairs fandom. This was the first time in Marvel fandom where in prep I caused the ire of the cult, and they're as toxic as any fandom gets.
No,
but
they're toxic, but not as toxic as any fandom
I think
gets.
they're approaching Star Wars. They're not quite. There's highs and lows, but right now, Marvel,
here's the thing: is that they're never gonna get to the
it's a different type of people.
The Snyder, bros,
yeah, that's a different type of people are drawn to.
to.
But that said, people were like, "Well, it's my choice how to spend my 6 hours," and all I said was like, "It's disrespectful
Nate
to your time."
C in the chat says Thunderbolts premiered today. Is that true?
I hope
Where
not.
are you, Nate?
Yeah, in what country?
Maybe you're not stateside. Anyways.
Yeah, then I missed my job.
So you were on the other side.
Yeah, so they called me out of like, oh yeah, well it's our choice about to spend our time. If we want to spend 6 hours, I was like,
of course, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, I'm not speaking to you then.
Right.
I'm saying it's disrespectful to time and people that are. So it was just exhausting having any sort of commentary, and I'm like,
so with that said,
yes, it also undermined Thunderbolts. Why did they do that before Thunderbolts?
And on top of all of that, I'm irritated because I hate that all of the other X-Men characters are in it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love Alan Cumming, and it's great to see him in a role. I also don't care. Like, I don't love him in that role more than I just want fucking new shit.
I think that's after Secret Wars.
But we've been saying, how many times have you been saying that?
But
we said that about Daredevil. I'm sorry,
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
But I think they got moved out of Deadpool and put into these movies because they needed these movies to get bigger. I think if you watch those movies, it's really clear that all those death scenes were supposed to have the original actors in them. And then they were like, we got to save them for a bigger thing because our movies are falling apart.
God.
And now it pushed everything 3 years. The effect that changing Kang had on the MCU is like
maybe you're right,
historic.
But man, yeah, I'm just like, I'm so much less interested now in seeing all of the, whatever you want to call them, the Fox X-Men. Like,
it's interesting.
European premiere Flo is walking around. Mind you, that was an hour ago.
They're not flying me to Europe. I'm doing the American one.
Right. So that's happening as we speak.
Got it.
Florence is walking around looking beautiful.
Good timing to bring this up. I'm now only commenting on socials that my social media person sends me. So I'm off. I have no Instagram or Twitter on my phone. So
I deleted Twitter ages ago off the phone, and I have also not been on social media at all whatsoever for weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing.
I have to check my YouTube comments because that keeps my growth. But otherwise, like I was about to say, I don't want to hear spoilers. Right. I'm like, wait.
I will watch the Instagram and TikTok videos that Alexandra sends me.
That's your access.
But I do not scroll. And when I find the desire to scroll, if I'm on the toilet or whatever, then I have to go to YouTube.
Nice.
Or another media app and watch a television show.
Great.
Or, like a long form thing.
Yeah.
Like a long form podcast or news thing. Like, So like, and I've gotten really good, and can I tell you, it's been a fucking delight.
Yeah, growing your attention span back, man.
But anyways, yeah, that I don't know. I wish I was more excited for that, but that inclusion of the X-Men.
If they only announced half, which is what I heard, is that's only half the names. Why would you do the Thunderbolts now that we know they're going to be in it? And why would you do these X-Men ruining what the movie is? Yeah. And I get that's marketing. You have to build hype, but it's a year away. Are we going to be hyped in a year about chairs or these names?
I don't know.
I guess they're probably filming outside, so we're going to see them, but still.
It also, I don't know. It also just kind of feels like it's expected now. Like the X-Men were the only surprising part of it.
Right.
That's
what I mean. Like now I know what the movie is.
And so
a year out.
Also, not just the X-Men, because isn't there not some Fantastic Four names there as well?
Oh yeah. Which I think we assumed.
I don't know, because they keep saying multiverse. It's an whole.
But I assume they have to come to our multiverse, which is why there's a female.
Another movie that they better be fucking good. I'm so excited for that movie as well, and I'm just like, please be good.
I'm worried about Joseph Quinn.
Please be good.
Everything I've seen of his Human Torch, I'm like, that's
really.
It's just he's not a hothead. Like that's the Human Torch element.
All right.
He's like a soft, gentle.
Well, maybe
mullet.
he gets there.
That'd be a weird inversion on Human Torch if he goes from being therapized to a hothead as opposed to like Johnny Storm growing up. He becomes an asshole.
Marco Tunstill in the chat says your blood pressure thanks you for getting off socials.
Yeah.
Real Podcast says to ridding your life from social media bullshit.
I was thinking I wouldn't be able to actually watch Superman. My thing was I'm going into Superman as a comic fan and a person who's talked to some of the cast who's like, working at DC Studio Showcase. Right. The amount of hate I was getting for Superman, I was like, I won't be able to sit down and go, oh, what am I thinking? I'm going to go like, what are the people going to think I think? And I want to be able to enjoy movies. So like, it's not worth the occasional, I mean, I'm going to answer comments and like, I have a social media person now, so I can be like, oh, this is me telling this person something relevant.
Sure.
But like, I can't receive all that vitriol. Right, like, it was so much stress.
No. And you for a while your strategy was like, I'm gonna make this my space. I'm gonna shut people down. And I'm like, yeah, you can't win that battle.
It's too many. I enjoyed the ones I got to delete their accounts.
Of course,
it was a victory.
Of course, but I don't think that catharsis
was worth the stress.
Overpowers the stress, like.
Because I'd walk away with it more than I thought I did, and then it would mount, and then one day I'd be like, why am I fucking pissed?
Right.
Oh, maybe because I was exposed to monsters for a month.
It's almost like I've been telling you that for
correlation,
years.
causation. Yeah. Oh, right. But yeah, so I'm in a better spot.
Right on. Well, anyways, there's one thing I wanted to chat a little bit about today. I just realized that we've been out of this so long, didn't even look at the hotline calls.
Oh, dude.
We probably have a stockpile.
87.
Maybe the next episode is just a hotline crazy.
Yeah.
We'll take all the hotline calls we missed.
Beautiful.
This week or the past month, I suppose. Well, all the relevant ones. If something is time sensitive.
If something's about.
But yeah, next episode, get your hotline calls. And what's the number?
818-794-0722.
And we'll next episode we'll just do a crazy
all hotline.
Yeah. Maybe we'll even try to go a little extra long to make up for that break that we had. So I want to talk about this this book and this gentleman right here today.
Yes, I know nothing about this man, and you said this is important to you.
So it's sort of this crazy thing. There's a gentleman by the name of Don Mischer. He's probably the most famous, most prolific TV director that you've never heard of.
Okay.
When I tell you that Don Mischer is responsible for so much of modern popular culture that you have no idea who this person is, it is astounding. Don Mischer, we're going to talk a lot about Michael Jackson right now, trigger warning. It's just going to be the way it is. Don Mischer directed the Motown 20-year anniversary where MJ did the very first moonwalk. Wow. He produced and directed that. He produced and directed the very first ever halftime show with MJ. He's the reason that halftime shows became what they were, and that was at MJ's request because they wanted just the sports broadcast team to do it. The multiple Olympics, he's responsible for the incredible Olympics opening, closing ceremonies, obviously, in which Muhammad Ali was a surprise thing where only 3 people knew. I mean, like this dude. Quincy Jones, Bruce Springsteen, every politician, the Barack Obama inauguration, as well as the DNC in which he accepted the nomination, as well as the Kerry DNC. Like every major television event, this dude is the director for. This is Alexandra's cousin.
There was a twist.
Alexandra's cousin, once removed, her father's cousin. And Don lives out here in LA, and Alexandra and him have a very kind of distant relationship, just because of that, do you know your parents' cousins well, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, some of them, but not all of them.
And for years we've been trying to just get together to just like have a lunch because, not to make this too personal, I've been telling Alexandra for years, like, everybody in your family, like, you are the outcast in your family. She comes from, a Texan family of Republicans and conservatives. Sure. And here you have this bleeding heart liberal Democrat who literally works on like Democratic politician events out in LA, who's like an adult
diamond in the rough.
And also like, and Alexandra and I are both desperate for mentor figures in our lives throughout all of history, right? And here's a guy, every Oscar that Billy Crystal did.
Wow.
This dude, like the stories and the knowledge and just like the gusto that this guy has, absolutely incredible. And so for years I've just been like, we should try it. And every time we reach out, it's always like, oh, he's working on this thing or he's traveling, and like it's always been so hard to like find the time. And when we were in Texas this past year before we came back to LA, I snagged this because her dad had a few copies. He just released this book last year, I think.
Wow.
And it's just sort of like it's like a series of individual essays. It's not like one big long story.
You talked to me about this book, and I didn't put in context this was the same cousin. Like,
right.
I knew of this book, and I knew she had a cousin that did this. Yep. I didn't put this together.
Right. Just randomly on a whim, after I took this book, it's just been sitting on the shelf here. And one day I was just like, I just started reading it. And this was like maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And I read it a little bit by little bit, like every night before bed, a chapter or so. I finished it last, maybe a little bit more than last, but maybe last Saturday, Sunday. It might have been 2 weeks now. My time is all messed up.
I don't know when.
Don died the next day after I finished the book.
You killed your fiance's cousin.
Don died at, I want to say 85, 86. You have to look him up. Don Mischer.
Wow.
He retired 5 days prior.
Oh my God.
He announced that week, 2 days before that event, that it was going to be his last event.
Worked until he was 85.
He retired
he passed. Wow.
And then passed away 5 days later.
If you love it, you do. That's kind of a gift.
I mean, also, and when I tell you, reading this book, like, that it's so inspiring. This dude, like, the reason that, like, I try to think of the recent halftime show with Kendrick Lamar,
dude,
or I try to think about the SNL homecoming concert or any of these big events. Like, Don's big thing was, and he talks a lot about it in the book, it's like, if we have a sporting event, if we're doing the opening ceremonies of the Olympics or whatever, like, we can put dancers, we can get a musician, we can get a big name, but what does it mean? What do the people actually feel at home when they watch it? Or is it just mindless? His whole thing was like, what's the story behind this? And it's incredible how many times he had to fight just to like be a storyteller in live event television, which I don't think we really think about.
But it is the difference between one you watch and one that happens and you never think of.
Or one you remember. Yes, right. Exactly.
One you watch versus one you see.
Yeah, the moments you remember. I mean, like that first, whether the stink that's on him as a human being, obviously, like that first MJ halftime show is amazing. Yeah. And there's a lot of behind the scenes. If you look up Don Mischer, like behind the scenes or Don Mischer headset, there's so much, like they released like a little mini documentary about that halftime show with MJ. And you can hear Don, because in the beginning of it, he told Don, do not cue the guitar player until I take my glasses off.
Oh, and that's what that hold is.
They have a little window. And so you can hear, there's a whole thing where you hear Don going, MJ, Michael, take the glasses off. Start it, Michael, start. And he's just screaming and screaming. There's a ton of really fun things like that out there. There's a really fun mishap with the John Kerry DNC where he's screaming about balloons dropping and they accidentally pumped in his headset mic to like CBS broadcasting. So it's like John Kerry is going to be the nominee for president and balloons are supposed to drop. And you just hear him on live television going, where the fuck are these balloons? Balloons, go, more fucking balloons. But in any case,
what a beautiful life. What a beautiful history.
It's insane. I mean, we're talking about a guy who worked like I said, multiple times with Bruce Springsteen, who's like Alexandra's favorite human being on the planet, who I always said, like, would you ever want it? And she's petrified. She's like, I never want to meet Springsteen. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I get it.
I don't think I have a person I don't want to meet, but I could see that choice.
I think for me, it's Eddie from Pearl Jam. I feel like if he
needs to say mythical.
If he doesn't live up to what I have of him in my head, then it's like, I'd rather the mystery's better. But
that's fun.
But I mean, the book is incredible. 10 Seconds to Air is what it's called. My Life in the Director's Chair. He tells stories about going and doing. He was the first American to when they did the. I'm bad with all the dates remembering, but when they had the first Olympics in communist China, and they asked him to do it. Like they reached out to him to do it, and we're talking about like him trying to be an artist with AK-47s around him at all times, always. All of these crazy stories about these things that he went and these things that he did, working with Willie Nelson, Bob Costas, like I said, Quincy Jones, like all of these people were like his close personal confidants, and like the dude's name, it's incredible. Once you look for the name, you realize that this dude has done everything on television for the past 40 years. Like, I mean, it's just been an insane amount of time, an insane career. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's shit I'm forgetting about the book, but I highly suggest people pick it up.
I hope he passed away happy. That's a legacy and a half. Like 85 and the week of retirement. Like
2 kids.
Man.
I mean, talk about the most incredible career you've ever had.
Yeah, that's so special.
Yeah. He also did the halftime show with Prince in the Rain. Remember?
So I hope that industry people are reverent to him, and he got to be like revered by his peers, and then he got to also be anonymous and be like I hope that the reverence did come from those people.
That's what I think. That's what I think is amazing about this.
They called him for the communist thing. That's crazy.
I mean, when you like, if you just Google the name now, you'll just see all of the website. Everybody's talking about it, and it's just like quote of like literally the biggest names in the world.
The back of the book says Beyonce, Willie Nelson, Muhammad Ali.
Honestly, yeah. And it's that kind of thing where it's just like the people that are constantly like, that's the guy. Like, I won't do it without this guy, or this is the guy you have to ask. Also,
and he got to work until he was 85. That's dope. If you like your work. Obviously, I'm not speaking to people that don't.
There's a is it
I hope I can talk at 85.
Yeah. Oh, you won't have a problem. Rich Eisen, is that the guy's name who has that like talk show? I see the clips. The Rich Eisen show. I think he's like a sports guy, but he has like pop culture people on. Okay, if it
doesn't register.
In any case, there was an interview he did right after the book came out, and you could tell like 85, the dude like at that point maybe 84, 83, like just not a beat missed, and he's just like he's a ball buster. He's also he was like a big dude, and so like he's kind of this imposing. He reminds me in. Obviously, I never got to meet him.
Did Alexandra?
Oh yes, Alexandra. Again, they knew each other. Like
I just wanted to make sure that was.
Yeah. They had pretty decent relationship. It was just not like it was a sort of thing where you just don't see each other.
Right. It's not the mentorship that would have been nice.
It's sort of like me and some of my uncles who it's just like when I see them, it's like we've
special and it's familiar.
Yeah, but I mean, like the last time I saw some of them were years and 10 years.
You don't have uncles in LA.
Right. Exactly. It's that kind of thing. So that's why it was kind of, unfortunate. So the lesson in all of this is like, if it's convenient, do it. Like I have such regret on her behalf, for like not spending more time with them because again, it's like her only family in LA all whatsoever.
One of one.
And obviously he's got kids and stuff, but she doesn't know his family as much as she knows him. Obviously his wife, but not his kids. He's got 2 kids. His son is a musician, and his daughter, I think, maybe following the footsteps of live production.
Cool.
But also, he was apparently just this huge proponent of like young talent. Like he's the kind of guy who, just coincidentally, one of the editors that works for me for the production company that I'm a department head on, he was in town. He lives in New York, but he was in town because he was producing some live event for Meta last week, some dumb stage thing, whatever. And he was just talking about like, oh yeah, like, I'm really getting into live event stuff. I did it like 10 years ago for, and I kind of got away from it. Now I'm looking to get back into it. And I was like, oh, by any chance, do you know who Don Mischer is? And he was like, oh my God, I went to an event like years ago at the DGA and like introduced myself to Don, and he stepped outside and we talked for like an hour and a half.
Aww.
And he just like imparted wisdom and he gave me contacts and like, yeah, really incredible.
Cool. Darth Vadad in the chat.
Yeah. Saying, oh, hey, what's up, everybody?
I ran into. I want you to finish your thing first, but I have a tangent from that.
Please tangent.
I had a really cool experience, and I wanted to share it with the pod, and I almost forgot because we have so much to catch up on that my brain is. I ran into a 77-year-old icon at the comic store and got to have a profoundly long and different conversation than I ever would have imagined if I'd met this man in any other scenario.
Any other context?
In literally any other way.
I mean, they're in a comic shop, so it has to be somebody in comics.
77 years old.
It's not like, oh, I met, Chaz Palminteri at a comic shop.
It's a little bit of a twist.
Oh, it is? Okay.
But it does relate to comics, but not in the way he's known for mostly.
Okay.
77, male.
Oh, wow. That's going to fucking narrow it down.
White.
I have no guesses.
I got to talk Renaissance art, traveling, and the experience of art in comic books versus Renaissance art with the great Peter Weller.
Peter Weller. Oh,
for
shit.
a fucking hour and a half.
Wow. Was he there doing a signing?
No, he was there. So
Shopping?
I was there to support Rob Liefeld. He's got a new book,
Okay.
A New Youngblood, and it was unique to that Golden Apple. There's a cover that's only going to be at that Golden Apple.
Okay.
Peter Weller's kid is a huge Rob Liefeld fan and a huge Golden Apple guy. Peter Weller's kid only shops at Golden Apple, and so they were supposed to have family lunch in Glendale. They heard Rob was signing at Golden
Apple. So they were
Apple.
like, well, we'll go there.
And they were like, there's no way we wouldn't have heard about this. It's Rob Liefeld at Golden Apple. So they didn't believe it. So Peter came over first to scout so his kid didn't come over.
And be disappointed.
Exactly.
A+ dadding.
What a good dad, right?
A+ dadding
So
right
I'm
there.
at the
How old
comic
is this
store,
kid?
like 16.
Okay.
Also,
gotcha.
good for Peter Weller.
I was just going to say, like, when you kept saying kid, I'm thinking 8, 9, 10. I'm
You're
like, wait, he's
wait a
how old? Even 14.
Still.
Yeah.
So I'm at the comic store with Rob, and I'm so stoked for him, dude. 33 years later, he's doing a anniversary signing for Image Comics for Youngblood at Golden Apple, and the line is the longest I've ever seen at Golden Apple. It is not just so him and Jim Lee are the two longest lines I've ever seen. Fittingly, both Image guys that did it in the last few weeks.
Sure.
It went around the block, down the street, and they had to block off streets running down Melrose.
Wow.
And I was there 2 hours in, and I was talking to his publicist 3 hours later, and they hadn't cut the line off yet. Rob ended up signing for 7 hours.
Wow.
And I'm just a testament to the guy. Like, he gets a lot of crap for the at Rob Liefeld, but the human in store, I really want to give his flowers to for the other side. But so I'm there, and Peter Weller's there, and I'm just like, and I'm trying not to be that guy, but I'm like, look at RoboCop.
Right.
And so he's standing off to the side, and I'd met him once at a MegaCon very briefly. So I just went over to say hi. Didn't want to take a photo or do any. I didn't want to fanboy, but I wanted to be like, this is really cool. You're here for Rob. We met at a MegaCon. He's like, we talked. You were taking a trip. And I was like, how do you possibly remember that?
Amazing.
I had since just gotten back from the trip, the one I just told you about. This trip was planned a year ago. He remembered a year ago at MegaCon. So we're 77. So we're talking. We had met once. And
in fairness, he has that, like, I bet you people don't walk up to him because his face, he's not the like instantaneous.
Yeah.
People might look at him and do that like, oh, also he's a lot older.
That's why I was thinking of this guy, because he gets his flowers, but also he gets to be an honest and whip smart at 77.
And also, like, I feel like, the people that do recognize him are a very distinctive type. And I bet you he's mostly anonymous.
And dude, he gets to have these amazing conversations
about
art.
He's also excited when people,
And so we start talking about Renaissance paintings, and I was like, I actually just got back from the trip. I just went to Copenhagen and I went to Paris, and we were comparing the Louvre to Versailles. And I'm actually keeping up. Now, keep in mind, he's a doctor. He has a doctorate in Renaissance art. Oh no! At every con,
Dr. Weller.
They write Peter Weller, and he writes doctor in Sharpie. He writes it on it. I love this man. He is such a G.
That
dude.
is A+ pettiness.
So he writes.
I didn't get that degree for you to make this banner.
Yeah, his friend really group that he was with were calling him Doc, and I was like, I love that you've made this a thing. Doc. So I'm keeping up with a doctor in Renaissance painting, and I'm really proud of myself because like. I don't know a lot, but I know enough. And that also means I was retaining stuff from the Louvre and Versailles. So I'm like texting my fiance. I'm like, I actually learned at these places. I'm doing this. And so we start talking about why Da Vinci's art is in Paris versus Rome. We start talking about the Venetian art scene. And like, I'm keeping up. And I was like, oh, there's actually an artist I think you'd really like, Barthold Thorvaldsen in Copenhagen. And he's a sculptor that was commissioned to do the Statue of Liberty and turned down America. So America bricked him from all the books. Like, he's actually been like blacklisted in American history books, and he's one of the greatest sculptors of all time.
Right.
So I'm in Copenhagen, and I wander into this museum, and I fall in love with a sculptor. It's 3 floors of museum of a guy I've never heard of.
Sure.
And I'm retaining all this stuff, and he's like, I actually know contextually where he's missing from history books. He didn't know the guy. He knew the omission of the guy. So I start showing him photos, and while I was there, I was able to, only in certain circles am I relevant or like, famous adjacent. But at this museum, they were a bunch of art people that knew my comic stuff.
Right.
So they let me into like certain rooms that maybe the public doesn't always go to.
Fun.
So I got to see recreations life size of his 20-foot bust.
That's awesome.
Like from me to you away.
Like the mold. Yeah.
So I'm like
That's
this close to like life size and then way bigger than life size sculptures.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm showing them to him and he's like, oh, that influenced this and this. So we're having this moment
He's just
of like
really enjoying it. Yeah.
losing his mind.
Right.
So we exchange
Meanwhile,
information.
I'm sure people are like, most of the time at a comic book store,
Not
people
this
walking
is
up
the
to him
conversation
being
you
like, will you sign my RoboCop comic book?
And now
Yeah.
10 people have gathered
Right.
and we're having this super nerdy art conversation. I start comparing.
Darth Vadad in the chat. Sorry. Blacklisted by America. That's a pretty good group to be in.
Correct. But we're having this like deep conversation about this. And then we start talking about Batman because he's the voice of Batman and a ton of the great iterations. And Jim Lee, we're about to do Superman Day. I'd been working with Jim. So Jim comes up and he's like, I love Hush. And I was like, dude, Hush 2 just came out.
Right.
So I'm like with Peter Weller flipping through Hush 2, talking about Renaissance art and Jim Lee's work. And then Rob comes over, joins the conversation. It was one of the most beautiful moments I've ever had where I felt like all of the knowledge I'd gleaned was uniquely poised for this thing.
Right.
And I was like, and then I found out the people that were gathering around, one was an Image Comics inker, one was working on the Ghost in the Machine imprints that I've been talking about here that I love.
Right.
So they're like in the industry and like they were just as enamored by all this stuff.
Sure.
So the group gathered.
Also, they're like,
they're the right people to be excited.
And
about.
also Weller's like still a movie star to that crowd.
community.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Most of the time, it probably goes unnoticed.
Yeah,
but like
to us,
anybody who draws comic books knows.
They knows Peter fucking Weller.
Yeah.
So I literally got to talk metamodernism and Renaissance art with fucking RoboCop, and it was surreal, dude.
By the way, there's a new video game that was one of the PlayStation Plus like free monthly games.
Yeah.
That's like a RoboCop game that just came
shit.
out. It looks fucking awesome. Like it looks like a
Love that
really
it's still
simple.
great.
I love an old school movie adaptation game. It looks just like a first person. Persian? Ooh,
Persian?
I'm taking a sip of coffee. First person RoboCop, where it's
That's
just like
sick.
where it's like through the tech, and it looks kind of old, and it looks like the movie. And I'm like, oh man, I think not that I have any time right now to play a game, but fuck, that game looks fun.
That franchise, RoboCop holds up even better, alarmingly better lately than ever.
Right.
And it was just such an honor to talk to because he had such a voice in it. Like he made sure certain things happened. He's always been very outspoken.
Right.
So it was really cool to talk to him now about art, but also like what art needs to mean. It was the coolest, dude. And like he went to go get his kid, came back, so we hung out.
I was gonna say, yeah. Did you get to watch the kid meet Rob?
It was so cute.
Oh, yeah.
And the kid like came over to me and we were talking. Oh, dude, this is the one. Not the one time, but it was a moment that I got to feel really cool in front of a dad. The kid came over and the kid knew of DC Studio Showcase, and he was trying to explain to Peter what the show was.
Right.
And so I picked up the comic behind Peter and flipped to the back, and I was the back cover, and I got to be like, oh, this is the show. And I was like, this is a one of one cool moment where the kid knows my work, and I can be
also,
like, Dr.
not for
Weller.
nothing, like. Thank God you were
in a comic store
or that advertisement
that I was in that back one
because that was all you needed. The comic book.
By the way,
if that wasn't being advertised, you'd be like, gosh,
it's a show.
Or what if you were like, oh yeah, no, I'm on the back of some books, and then you couldn't find any.
A single one of that. Like, yeah, sure, you're in comic books.
Hey, do you have 2 months ago the number?
It's in this issue, but this variant cover and only that one. But he was a delight, and he's actually going to go to that museum, which is really cool. And he's going to do the politically incorrect walking tour. Like, he's going to do the trip stuff. And, like, he happens to be going to Copenhagen next week. So, like, dude.
Why did that happen?
Literally, while I was talking, he's like,
I didn't realize there aren't that many flights to Copenhagen.
It is not a hub. He's like, I'm going there for another art tour. I'm going to add a day to my trip and do these two things. So I got to influence Peter Weller's trip.
Real podcast on the chat says it's a very good game. Good to know.
Oh, no way. That happened this week. It was dope.
I forgot to ask you, but what was it like flying back to modern America from Copenhagen? Was it more annoying than previous international travel? Because I've heard that it's gotten really rough coming back.
I had a harder time there being hated, like because like we are messing up on a global scale instead of our usual scale of burning our own bridges. We're like napalming others' bridges. So it was really interesting just being like apologetically American, and then on the way back. I didn't just go into California. I flew into Florida for the wedding. So I had to go into Orlando Airport, which was a really big cultural shift for me in general.
Sure.
But especially from like, let's talk about art and eat croissant to like, oh, we're going to Gatorland.
Right.
It was jarring because I'm working on being as open-minded as I can about everything, because if I don't, I won't survive this. Right. So it was like, every beat was me going like, remember, you're learning patience. Remember, this is the education system. Remember, this is the
Sure.
But it was like a mantra. Like it went from being like, let's make this a goal to me like repeating it to survive. And then I came back to LA and I was like, okay, so everything's even more expensive than when you left 2 weeks ago, and it's only gonna. So that was really hard too, because in Florida I dealt with humanity, but here I deal with prices. So it's like,
sure,
everywhere's gonna have its issues, but it's been a hard adjustment.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Was there any part of you that was like, let's just stay in Copenhagen? Let's just stay here.
I think
that's what happens to us when we went to Edinburgh. We were like, well, maybe we just stay.
I actually think I would land in Ireland
sooner than anywhere else. Yeah,
because like it's a very musical storytelling city.
Sure.
So my loud Americanness,
Ireland,
the city of it felt like a city. It was very small. But I feel like my loudness is perceived as joy there. As opposed to the other places.
Or alcoholism.
Either way, it's acceptable. But like other places, they're just like, you're a lot. In Ireland, they're like, we got one of you.
Right.
Also, look at, I camouflage.
Yeah, I get it. Same. I mean, honestly, even though I'm Italian, I still blend.
Edinburgh. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I would not be as easily assimilated into the two places I went.
It's funny, actually, when we were in, not so much London, but when we were in Scotland, Alexandra was constantly just looking at me and laughing because it would be us and then it would be like, because we were there for a wedding as well. And so it would be a lot of our American friends. And Alexandra would just look, and it would be like me and like the Edinburgh old men, and then the LA people, but not me with the LA people. With the LA,
yeah, you picture battles. I mean, that's how I was in Ireland. I immediately like all the fishermen and all the people that are like, I've seen the weathering of Ireland, but like all the college kids in Galway, I was like, what are you kids doing?
I also just meant how I looked. I meant.
Oh, I meant where I drifted to.
Oh, sure, that too. But I just meant like I was dressed
aesthetically. You are. I mean, you're wearing a cardigan right now. I'm in a hoodie. The first comment we got was they're each dressed as themselves, but in the merch. But yeah, I think. It was also hard in France because my name is Coy Jake. So they'd see my name and think polite French man.
Oh, right. Of course.
And then I'd be like this.
Right.
So that was alarming whenever I checked into a hotel.
I will have the exact same problem.
Yeah.
With bacon.
Yeah.
I am 0%.
Especially in the meat district of Copenhagen.
Sure. Bacon. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Okay, all right. Only because I did that accent. This is totally unrelated to anything, but Alexandra just sent me this random photo. Again, I'm only allowed to look at social media that she sends me.
I love this. This is beautiful.
And she sent me, wait, let me see which I could find it. A little movie trivia. Okay, wait, it must have been on the Instagram. That made me laugh real hard. Here we go. It was this. It was did you know James Gandolfini was briefly in talks for the role of Jack in Titanic?
What?
But producers felt his intense presence shifted the tone. One exec said it stopped feeling like a tragic love story and started feeling like the iceberg owed him money.
Oh my God, I love that so much. His intense presence.
But so my response to that was, the fuck you talking about, iceberg? Chip some off and throw it in my drink and we can keep dancing. Fucking forget about this shit.
He also looks way more like an immigrant of the era than Leo. So it makes sense he made it that far. But yeah, that's not the movie.
All right. Well, listen, this has been a fun catch up. A lot of fun, crazy, weird, crazy stuff. We'll be more normal. Next episode, we'll do
hotlines.
All hotline from the jump. Unless like some crazy news thing happens, which even if it does, you'll talk about it someplace else.
Yeah, don't worry about
it. So that'll be in a couple of weeks. Although it is technically, even though it's the 22nd, by the way, happy belated Easter.
Happy belated Easter.
It is the first episode of April. So we do have to select our gift horse. And by the way, this year has been quite a decade.
I watched 7 movies the entire month of March, and I was like,
wow.
Like that, I usually have so much time.
Patreon only pod's going to be interesting.
Well, April, I've started to catch up.
Also, we were so far behind to begin with.
We've gone so long, I am actually able to do the show. But if we'd done this every 2 weeks.
Right. So with that said, I just want to apologize. I'm so far behind on all of the gift horse goodies and all of that stuff. We'll get that sorted as soon as possible. Thanks for those of you who have been our monthly gift horse who's been patient. We'll get that all squared away. Also, Coy and I desperately going to be catching up on our watch list. It's just been, we're only 2.5 years behind schedule. So I'm sure
we're totally catching up on time.
But
dude, I fell behind comics for the first time since I started reading them all.
It's gonna happen.
70 comics a week. I fell behind 2, but then on the work return, I fell behind another 2. So at one point, I owed 300 comic books to read, and every week, obviously, another 50 comes out. So I just was like, I'm reading 20 a day now to catch up.
You're gonna
day.
You're gonna have to just start cutting
But
titles.
I can't I did a few.
Yeah.
But I went from 70 to 50. I can't
Yeah.
cut more.
Yeah. No, you can cut more from 50.
If I am a comic correspondent,
Sure.
I must correspond.
Sure. With the more important ones.
I've never been in such a panic of
Sure.
like, gotta read 20 a day.
Sure.
So sorry, everyone. That's my context for how busy I've been.
All right. Well, in any case, we do have to pick our unpunchable gift horse of the month for the month of April. If you don't know what this is, well, you got to head on over to patreon.com/CoyCast and find out. I forgot to see. We're so bad. I forgot to set up my screen share. All right. You're just going to have to take our
I'm going to
word
read
for it.
this for a second. Darth
Sure.
Vadad with a very sweet message. My 16-year-old starts her first job at AMC this week. I think she's going to take me to see Thunderbolt with her employee plus one.
Heck
Every
yeah.
sentence of that was more wholesome than the last. I just want to give that
Didn't
its
we
love.
come up? We came up with, well after the fact, we came up with a good nickname for Darth Vadad's daughter that was also child. That was like the kid of Darth. Like it had a.
It was punny. I liked it.
Yeah, it was punny, but it was bad. The one we came up with was bad on the air.
Yeah, we
But
thought
then
of one. You
after
texted me
fact-
like a day later.
After the fact, we came up with, or somebody posted something in the Discord or something.
Yeah, something inspired it. What was the good one?
Because it's Leia.
Yeah.
But then there's also, I can't remember.
Not coming to me.
I can't remember
Was
what
it like
it was.
Padme based?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think, but
we
it was
found
bad though.
yeah.
That's the bad one. There was a better one. I don't know. I'm sorry.
My first job was at a movie theater, by the way. Or my first 1099 or W2 job was at a movie theater. I was 14.
I went to the movie theater for the first time the entire year.
Oh my God, I cannot wait for this patron pod.
And it was the best movie going experience I've had in ages.
Oh, I'm so excited, folks. Tune in to the Patron Only Pod this week.
All right. I'm gonna spin the wheel.
Do it.
The
Wheel of Names goes round and round.
official unpunchable gift horse.
Okay. I'm so glad that's on screen.
Speak
so
of, no, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
That's why I said I forgot to do my screen share, but Darth Vadad.
Darth Vadad!
Coming up,
Fortuitous
unpunchable.
timing.
Very good timing. So listen, if she doesn't bring you for the +1, at least you're
unpunchable.
At least you're unpunchable for the month. Darth Vadad, thanks to you. Thanks to everybody for your continued support of the program, to all of the patrons. We could not do the show without our patronage. We do apologize that it's been dark here because of life, but also it's still the best deal in entertainment.
Oh, by far.
For just the back catalog, there are a whole lot of POPs where Coy and I have discussed all of the art we've watched.
Yeah.
I mean, movies, TV shows.
Hours.
I mean, just hours and hours of us chatting about everything. And it's all really well meticulously logged. So if you're watching something, if you just watched a movie and you thought, I wonder if Coy and Jake ever watched this, or what
You can look.
What are these dumb idiot
Search our
opinions that
thoughts.
they have? Yeah.
What number are we up to? 190 something. I think we're close to 2.
In the POPs?
In the POP. Yeah, you know me.
Oh, wait. No, I know how to do that. I can do
Because
this.
I want to, because we do an average of 4 to 5 each, so I'm going to round
So
up to 5.
the next POP, this week's POP is 225.
225. Okay, 225 times 10, because we'll say 5 each. Easy math.
Sure. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more.
Sometimes
so,
more.
Yeah.
So we'll say 10. 2,250 bits of entertainment.
That was the only time I could have done the math.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's 5s and 10s?
there's zeros? Let's fucking rock this bitch.
But let's say we do half an hour,
No.
which usually it's an hour. We do half an hour to an hour each episode, times 225. So you split 225 in half. You get
1350.
11350.
1250.
Thank you. That makes more sense.
1250.
1250 times an hour is
112.50 times an hour?
What?
Wait, no.
1,250 hours.
There you go.
And 1,250 hours.
That can't be right. We've lost the thread.
We've lost the thread. It's months, is what I'm saying. It's months of joyous podcasting. Literal months.
We should set up a, I don't know why I'm saying this on air, because if I can't figure it out and I don't do it, people are gonna be like, you said you're gonna do it. We should set up a CoyCast radio station.
Oh, that's crazy.
Where there's just a website or something you go and it's just 24 hours and it just plays like a random episode of the POP.
I love that.
And so it's just always live. If somebody out there is listening who knows how to do something like that, let me know. I'm sure I can figure it out, but I'd rather not have to. I think that's fun, right? It's just like CoyCast radio. That way it's always.
I just mathed it.
The POP. Oh,
Okay, 225. I'm going to say it's hours because there are episodes that are longer than an hour. There are episodes that are like 45 minutes. But I'm going to say hour. 225 hours divided by 30 days is 7.5 pure days of entertainment.
Great.
We literally have given
sure enough.
straight through. Well, that's
sure
a radio
enough,
channel.
solid. Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
crazy.
I think we did it.
I think we did it.
Next episode, hotline. Get those hotline calls in. What's the number?
818-794-0722. That's 818-794-0722. You can also check out the Discord. That is totally free.
Yes.
We jump in that as much as possible. It has been an incredible community built here. Not gonna lie, this is my favorite. Don't tell the other ones. This is my favorite community on the internet. I have so many pockets of internet, but the only Discord I would dare venture into is this one. So I really appreciate you guys being a voice of positivity. Congratulations to Darth Vadad, one of the most positive and lovely people we know, for being the unpunchable gift horse. That is going to do it for this week. Please check out koicast.com for merch. We got sweatshirts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
We got mugs. We got all sorts of goodness. Hats.
Got mugs. Dragon Wagon merch. We got Koicast merch. All sorts of fun stuff there.
All of that helps immensely.
Also, it came up in the Discord, and I started working on a design. There are so many of them already out there. So I'm trying to do something that doesn't look like everybody else's, but it dawned on me that we need a buy physical media shirt or a buy physical media thing.
Yeah.
So a BFM.
Love it.
No, BPM.
Buy physical. Wow. Oh, that's good. No, now that's how it's unique. Cross out the F,
Physical.
PH, physical, and BFM. You cross it out.
Holy shit.
That's the shirt.
And can I tell you though, that is the type of month I've been having.
Buy physical media. There's no way to top that. We're going to wrap it out there.
Should buy be BY?
BYF.
No, because that sounds like we're saying goodbye to them. So
that's true. Buy FHYSICAL. Buy physical media, folks. We'll see you in a couple weeks for the Hotline Hot and Heavy episode. Bye. I'll buy physical media. Good night.
It's Dragon Wagon.